So many people ask me why Meghan Markle stands like this, and today's video, I'm gonna answer it. Hey everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley. Thank you so much for being here with me. Let's get to the bottom of this. So there are so many images of Meghan Markle standing with her legs crossed. Now we know that when sitting, the proper etiquette is to not cross your legs at all. So why is she doing this when she stands? Oftentimes she either stands with her feet really wide apart or she stands with them completely crossed. This is puzzling, I know. But the reason why she's standing with her legs crossed is because it actually creates more of a curve. Potentially she figured this out for herself or saw it in a magazine, or maybe it's product of her acting days, who knows? But with modeling and acting and things of that nature, they talk about wanting to create the S curve, which is essentially just a more feminine curve to your stance when you're standing. Since Meghan Markle has that boxy torso and lacks a very well-defined waist, and she has broader shoulders than hips, it is not easy for her to get the S shape. But when you cross your legs like this, it actually helps to create that shape because it tends to get you to drop one of your shoulders closer to one of your hips, and this helps to create that shape. So this is likely something that she picked up on and continues to do to create a little bit more of an hourglass illusion, or to just look a little bit more photogenic, perhaps she thinks, by doing this. But it's true that it tends to look a little distracting when you see a full-length picture and you see that her legs are crossed. As you guys have said, it looks a little bit like she needs to go use the restroom or something. We're not sure exactly what's going on, but that is probably why she stands that way, because it's able to minimize the boxiness of her torso and to give a little bit more of an illusion of curve where she doesn't necessarily have it. Now, as for these sorts of weird moments, like when she's standing pigeon-toed like this here, I think this is a product of her too big shoes. We know she wears shoes that are a little bit too big for her, or sometimes a lot too big for her, so she probably ends up in these sorts of awkward situations where she's standing a little bit weird because she's trying to slide her feet around in these big shoes. No matter what sorts of things you try to add into your shoes or little tricks you try to do to make them fit better, if you're wearing heels, gravity is going to take control. You're going to slide forward. Your toes are going to get shoved to the front and it's going to start to hurt, and you're going to need to slide your feet back into the back of the heel at some point. It's gonna happen, it's inevitable. So she's probably trying to correct that in these ginormous shoes. It's also part of why she walks so strangely. She has this lurch that is just awful and strange. 100% has to do with those shoes being too big. But then we also see her standing like this sometimes, where her feet are just very wide apart. Now, part of this is just an illusion because she has this boxier torso and then her limbs are very, very thin, that even if she's just standing straight, even if she's standing with her feet directly beneath her hips, nice and square and straight, it's still going to look like her feet are a little bit wider apart because she's got those super skinny limbs and that boxy torso. So part of it's an illusion, but part of it is that she does tend to stand with her feet super far apart sometimes, and that is super strange. There's a reason why in good etiquette and in finishing school and things like that, they teach you to keep your ankles together. They say that on purpose, ankles together, because when you do that, it's not that your feet need to be super close together and next to each other and touching where you're gonna like step on your toes or something. It just trains you to keep your feet closer together, which is going to prevent these types of really awkward looks and pictures where she's got her feet very far apart. It's also something that we see when she walks. She takes really big steps. It's important to not take too big of steps because it doesn't look as nice, but it also tends to just make your gait look less graceful. And when you're somebody who's going to be filmed or photographed a lot, it's important to look at least somewhat graceful and less awkward. I would imagine somebody in this sort of a position would stop and take the time to try to come off as good as possible. And maybe she just really doesn't care about that sort of a thing. But when you ignore every single piece of advice and dismiss every single bit of being ladylike, graceful, or having good etiquette, then you just end up looking a hot mess and a disaster, and it's not good. And it even helps your clothes to lay nicer and just look nicer. In motion, a lot of clothes aren't doing as good as when you're standing still, but you can help that along by standing with your ankles close together or together, and by not taking too huge of steps. That's it for today's short video. I hope you have a happy day ahead, and I will see you next time. Bye!